them so much because like my feet just smell, everything is just...
Okay, so the kids' cupcakes did not make the trip, but that's red velvet and blue sprinkles. The Biscoff cronut did survive, as did the peanut butter brownie with sea salt and the cinnamon scroll. Hey guys, it's Chanel and we are starting a new vlog for October, which is nuts, bro. October, insane in the membrane. So I know it's spooky season for most of you guys, but obviously in Australia it's spring, but I will be doing a spooky vlog for show this month, as Halloween is one of my favorite holidays. It probably actually is my favorite holiday. What beats it? Nothing. But I thought I would just start off the month mood reading because that is my favorite thing to do, as I am hoping to find more reads this month that are my jam. Last month I did read quite a lot of books that just weren't for me. So hopefully my book picker is working this month. And let's get into the books that I have read so far. So the first book I picked up, which was on my TBR for this month, hello Bluebell. Hello baby. Oh, let me move the convertible out the way. There you go. Now you can jump up. You're gonna make me look like a fool. The first book I picked was Whisper Songs by Tony Birch. So this is a poetry book. I'll open up so you can see what the verses are like. Oh, so it is also, Jesus, there we go. Got to get that focus going. It is split into 3 parts. So you have blood, skin, and water. I would say my favorite poems were in the water category. It is written by an Indigenous Australian. So a lot of the poems are about colonial violence against Indigenous Australians. I would say watch the trigger warnings. I'll write down below what there is definitely one for. And there's also a lot about Catholicism, family, identity, connection to country. It is good. I didn't love it, but it is good. My favorite poem was Beneath the Bridge, which was in the water section. There are also some pictures in here. So here is the Merry Creek, which is so beautiful. Highly recommend you visit if you come to Melbourne. So here we have Beneath the Bridge. From the hooded hills behind Baruch spoke English to tell. There was no place in the mountains for him, for his father's father. No home away from country. A story runs with the river, circles back to meet itself, moves on to meetings, where waters gather speak, salt water fresh, water knowing. A bay born young of men, creviced women of law, lay itself down a blanket, bedding the old river below, moving toward the sea. Ground was gouged, sacred waters, scarred, shifted, held in custody, the conjugal rights of a colony, poisoned life at the throat, possession 9/10 of the law, the ultimate failure. When the monster span thundered, across the west the bridge gave way, 35 workers came falling, and the Birrarung lay waiting to gather the dead together. She gave their souls a home, comforted fear and sadness, and returned battered bodies to riverbank mourners clasping soft hands of fatherless children. So like I said, it was good and I would recommend, but yeah, for me, it wasn't one of those, oh my God, this poetry saved my life kind of books, but well done. Then I picked up Queer Art, From Canvas to Club and the Spaces Between by Gemma Rolls Bentley, forward by Sir Isaac Julian. So this was also on my TBR for the month. I'll just flip through so you can see some pictures. So it's got beautiful pink, like it's got a baby pink throughout the book. There might be explicit scenes here, guys, so be forewarned. It is art. So this is a book by queer artists, I guess, about queer identity. Some of the images are very evocative. There are some that are quite confronting. There was one in particular that did make my stomach turn and made me quite queasy. So I guess if there are trigger warnings for this, do read them, because there is stuff in here that's quite visual and full on. But I thought it was well done. I really enjoyed that. Not only do you get the artwork, but they tell you about the artwork as well. So you actually do get quite an in-depth description of what it means, what it represents, what inspired it, about the artist who made it, how it pertains to queer culture and history and identity. So yeah, I thought it was enjoyable. There wasn't a lot of art in here that I absolutely loved. You know, art is very personal, but it was pleasant to read through. Some of it, obviously some of it is quite, like I said, confronting, but that was queer art. The next book that I picked up was EARTHEATER by Dolores Reyes. So this is also translated by Julia Sanchez. It is a magical realism horror litfic book. I think the cover is quite eye-catching, and that's what caused me to find it. Saw it at a bookstore, took a photo, borrowed it from a library. Hey Munchkin. So with EARTHEATER, it's about two orphaned siblings who live in a slum in Argentina, and they're basically just trying to survive. The young woman has a magical ability. When she eats the dirt, she's able to see visions about missing or murdered women, or sometimes men, by eating dirt that they've been on. So she'll consume the dirt and then she can either see through their eyes or she can see where they are. And it mostly focuses on femicide. There's obviously a lot about poverty and also about gang violence in this book. The main character herself, sometimes she will help others, but a lot of the time she does reject the pleas of help from the community to eat dirt to find their missing loved ones. So now with the writing, I felt like the translation was very basic and a little bit clunky. I was reading some reviews and they said that the particular dialect this was written in is nuanced and the translations weren't that great, and they were surprised that they just didn't use particular words instead of trying to translate them. So be warned with that. I still found it readable though. Like sometimes the translations, I find the language so wooden and dry or disconnected and odd that I can't make it through, but this one I was able to read it, and I guess that's also because the storyline was interesting to me. However, the issue it had was that the idea was great, but it didn't deliver on its potential. So I didn't feel like it was maximized. The characters weren't that likable. Then there was a romance in this that I felt was extremely contrived and I just didn't like it. And like I said, with some of the characters, I didn't really like them, even when they were trying to do good for others. And just everybody in this was unlikable in some way. And the way the story progressed, it felt like it was ramping up and then it kind of just fizzled. It fizzled out. And I wasn't completely satisfied with how the story developed, but I've still given it 3 stars. Like I said, it was enjoyable, it was easy to read, and the idea was great, but it was missing something. The next book that I picked up is Prison of Sleep. This is the second in the Journals of Zaxony Delatry by Tim Pratt, and it's sci-fi/fantasy. So I absolutely loved the first one, and to re-jog everyone's memory, this is a multiverse story. So you have Zax, who got infected with this, I guess, world-hopping worm thing that allows him, whenever he fell asleep, to wake up in an adjacent multiverse, universe, planet, and every time he fell asleep, he would travel. In the first one, things were done, friends were made, an enemy was in there. In this one, we have a new enemy. So the new enemy is very Thanos-like, but a lot more smug, narcissistic, and just full of himself. I don't know, I kind of respected Thanos in a way and was frightened of him, but this guy was like a little worm, to be very literal. And I was just like, yeah, not impressed. But he has an agenda, and Zaxony and his group of collected comrades don't want to go along with that agenda, and they're trying to defeat him. The issue I had with this was that Zax is still a dummy. He's still a bit of a dum-dum. He's a massive empath, and he's not equipped to sometimes do what needs to be done in war. I understand being against innocent civilian casualties 100%, but also not wanting to harm the enemy that is literally taking lives of you and your friends, actively destroying trillions of people. That's a different story. I think you do need to sort of harden up and be a bit more of a warrior and do what needs to be done. It's war. It is war, I'm sorry. And if you're going to be in that war, sometimes you do need to slay the enemy in this case. And this one's not one of those more morally grey, like, you know, every side thinks they're the good guy. What these people are doing, like, if you thought Thanos could be a bit reasonable, this is just beyond the pale for that. In this particular book, you had two POVs, so you had Zach's and you had here a woman named Anna. I don't love being in Zach's point of view because, yeah, I just don't love Zach as a character, and I don't agree with a lot of his actions, and he's a bit too soft. Anna's was fine. It was necessary because her story and her timeline, we had to be backfilled. So part of this book was going through the past, catching up through everything Anna has been to this point, and then Zach's was in present day. So that was a bit jarring to go back and forth in time in that manner. And also with Anna, we were kind of rehashing the previous book. So this is one of those books where you probably could just, you don't need to read the first one right before you read this one. You could have a bit of a time in between because it does recap everything for you. We're introduced to a new character. I've forgotten her name. I feel like it's Zavina, something like that. We'll see if I put it up here, if I got it wrong. And she's basically like a Xena the warrior princess, but more Xena combined with Conan the barbarian. So those two combined, she was great. I agreed with a lot of her strategy and opinions on things. For me, the biggest issue that this had was it didn't have enough of my favorite character from the previous book, which was Minna, who is an incredibly unique type of character in not just the way they think and respond to situations, but their actual physical makeup. She's absolutely fascinating and I love her, adore her, and she was barely in this. This really did need more Minna. And I think that's a sentiment that a lot of the readers were repeating. We needed more Minna, you know, so I would have loved it to have been in Minna and Anna's point of view, for instance. The pacing was also slower in this one because, like I said, you had to keep going back and forth in time. So every time you went back to Anna's, it kind of stopped the progression of the story because you're just getting history filled in. So it wasn't as fast-paced as the first one, but then right at the end, everything goes down and happens. So it's incredibly fast-paced then. It's like boom, 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 and now we're finished. The ending is satisfying. So this is a duology. It does tie a story up. It is very, very light on the romance, like completely PG. They will talk about things like, we kissed on the lips and that's about it. Or we kissed on the lips and did more stuff. But it leaves it very ambiguous. So the most you're going to get in here is a kiss on the lips, and they're not talking about, and his tongue slid into my mouth and I sighed and moaned into his. No, it's just normally in retrospect. We shared, you know, when I saw her, we shared a kiss and it was nice. That's it. But I still really enjoyed it. It's a 4-star. I thought it was a good conclusion to the duology. And I think it's a great sci-fi to get into if you've not really read much sci-fi before. It's not, well, that being said, multiverse stuff can be a bit confusing and they do talk in scientific terms about a lot of things. So maybe it's a bit confusing. I don't know. I thought it was entertaining. If you read the first one and you think it's fine, you'll be able to read the second, even though the second is a bit more focusing on the space aspect of this book and physics, things like that. But yeah, 4 stars, really enjoyed it. The next 2 books that I'm going to read are both arcs. So this one is From Sand to Stars by Shelby Lee, and it's a book of poetry that focuses on the present, nurturing self-growth and discovering hope in every moment of your journey through the sands of time. And the second book I'm picking up, oh my God, I was obsessed with both of the covers for this, so I'll put both up here. Completely and utterly eye-catching. This is called Hungerstone by Kat Dunn, and this is a horror, queer, or sapphic fantasy gothic novel, and it's basically a reworking of Camilla, which was the OG sapphic vampire book. So it is based on that. But like I said, the covers, gorgeous, love it. So those are the last 2 books that I will be reading for this vlog. So today I did already go out to see my cousin Phoebe before she leaves me until next year. She's off gallivanting around Europe and will return in 2025. So I had to say goodbye to her. Went to a cafe, it was lovely. And then I stopped by a vegan bakery and bought a ton. I'm not gonna, a ton of desserts, and I will be eating half of those. And the other half will be split between my 2 children. So I most likely will be in a sugar coma for the rest of the day, but had to be done. And then I had to see my mum because she's going in for major surgery tomorrow. So we're all a bit nervous, but I'm sure she'll be fine. But had to go see her before anyway, and now I'm home. and I will see you when I have finished or read one of the next 2 books for this vlog. Okay guys, I'm back. I have had a doozy of a week. Everything that could go wrong did go wrong. So I went back to work. Already I feel awful again. Yay, fun times, but I need to make money. So it is what it is, but I am rethinking my employment situation. And then V, my eldest, on the last day of school, got injured in PE. They were playing dodgeball and she didn't dodge that bowl. And so instead she injured her ankle. We're still waiting on the x-rays, but the ultrasound shows that she's torn a tendon. So she's completely out of commission for the entire school spring holidays. So I did have to cancel our holiday away at a hotel in the city. That was cancelled after a lot of effort. Had to show them doctor's notes and everything because it was within 7 days and they don't offer refunds if it's within 7 days. But I said, well, unless you're going to help me wheelchair her around and you have wheelchair access, it's not possible. So luckily they graciously gave me my money back. So no holiday for us this year. That's just the way it's turned out and that's okay. But yeah, all of our plans that we had, these school holidays, just in the trash. Just in the trash, lit on fire because yeah, she can't walk. So that also means for me, I'll be getting out very little. V and Indiana will be staying at their dad's a little bit these school holidays. So I'll get to go out then at least. I'll actually get to go outside, but yeah. But we'll see how that plays. I think we're actually due for a mix of nice days and torrential rain in Melbourne, like the kind of rain you can't go out because it's flooding weather. So that's okay. It is what it is. You just got to roll with the punches. My mum's back from hospital. Her surgery went really well, thank God, because I was really nervous there. It's major surgery, but she's doing well. She's at home, so I've got to go visit her today to see how she is now she's out of hospital. My ex-husband's dad, though, is in hospital for other health complications, so it's hopefully he'll be okay. It's just, like I said, a lot of health crap at the moment, so hopefully it just all passes and we're all in top-notch condition and it's fantastic. But I've been a bit frazzled. I did read some more books. I did go to the library too. I may as well show you the library haul first before I show you my haul. So, picked up Elise Cover's Dawn of the Wolf Knight. This is probably a romantasy, like with a cover like that. That's probably what it is. I have read Elise Cover books before. I've liked some of them, haven't liked the others. We'll see where this one lands. If it's a DNF, you will see it now in my monthly wrap up because I'm not going to do dedicated DNF videos anymore. Then I picked up The Art of Fashion by Michael Goldschmidt because I am trying to read more coffee table books, art books, things of that nature. I've just completely ignored them and I do like art. I'm an arty bitch. I have no skill myself. I admire others. And then I've got Perfume and Pain by Anna Dawn, which I have read because I read the ebook version. The physical book came in. I forgot to cancel my hold on the physical because that does happen sometimes. I will go and put reservations on physical, ebook, audiobook, whatever versions my library has, and then when I get one I sometimes forget to cancel, but it's such a pretty cover. This is one of my favorite covers of last year, so I will be returning that quickly so the next person can get it. Then I've got Bright I Burn by Molly Aitken. I have no idea what this is about. 13th century Ireland, a woman with power is a woman to be feared. That's what this one's about, but it was brand new, grabbed it. Then we've got Being Seen, Master Parenting in the Digital Age, because I am always looking for more help with that. I do feel like it is a losing battle and I will eventually concede and allow my, 13-year-old teenager to eventually get the same apps her friends have, to eventually have more tech time, but it's just, yeah, I'm holding back the tide at the moment. Then we have Lady Macbeth by Ava Reid. I waited so long. I was really hoping to do the Wild Ones book club with a physical copy of the book, but I waited and waited and waited, and I had the ebook and it was almost due to be returned, and I thought, I can't let the ebook go because I don't know if I'm going to get this and then I won't be able to do it, and that would suck. So I ended up reading the ebook, and the next day, this is literally, I filmed the Wild Ones yesterday, this came in. So just missed out, but that's okay. Like I said, now the next person waiting for this, they're going to get it so fast. Next up, we have The Black Feathers by Rebecca Netley. When a spirit visits, they leave a trace. So this is like a gothic ghost novel. We've got Last Days in Plaka by Henriette Lazaridis, and this is set in Greece. The cover is what caught my eye. I don't know if it's going to be my jam. It might be sort of litfic, which is all vibes, no plot, and I'm not interested in. But beautiful cover. And it says, it's an immersive and multifaceted novel that explores the lies at the heart of an old woman's identity and the desperation of a young woman's struggle to belong in Athens. But we'll see. Gotta love the figs and the bees and the honeycomb. So we'll see what that's like. Then I've got Tripping on Utopia, Margaret Mead, The Cold War and the Birth of Psychedelics, Benjamin Breen. So non-fic, once again about psychedelics. We'll see how it is. It could just be, oh, no, it's just more of the same. Once you've read a lot of books about certain topics, it's harder and harder to find new ones that still hold your attention because you've already read so much on the subject in matter. Then I grabbed The Stars We Hold by Melissa Armstrong. I think this is a historical fiction set, after World War II, and it seems to be YA, the main character 17. So once again, this is just one, I grabbed it because the cover caught my eye and it's new. I do just go straight to the newly in shelves in the library and just grab everything. That's how I go about it. So we'll see what that's like. And I managed to find one new picture book for Indy with animals because she prefers books with animals or books about farts and poop and butts. And this is called Sleepy Sheepy and the Sheepover. So hopefully it's funny because that's her favorite kind of picture book, funny. So I don't really review picture books on here unless I think they're amazing. So I think this might be a funny one, so we'll see how it goes. So the next book that I was going to read, so this is an ARC from NetGalley, and it is From Sand to Stars by Shelby Lee. So this is a book of poetry and it's set in 3 parts. You've got sand, soil, and stars. This book was really Tumblr type of poetry. Sometimes that works for me. Sometimes it doesn't. In this case, it doesn't. It just lacked depth and poignancy for me. I think a lot of people would really like it. It's one of those more benign, palatable, like mass market kind of poetry books. I'll read one of the poems for you. One of the hardest lessons I've had to learn is that beautiful things come to an end too. Rainbows, sunny days, walks in the park, a life with you. So if you really like that, the whole book is sort of written in that way. And then I picked up Hungerstone by Kat Dunn, which had the stunning cover. So this is a queer retelling of the classic horror Carmilla, which, look, Carmilla is fine. It's just, I love it because of the fact that it was pretty much one of the first vampire books ever written and it was sapphic, so yay for that. But as a story, I've never really loved it. But for some reason, I've always been drawn to wanting to try Carmilla retellings and have yet to find one I really love. This one I have given a 3.5 stars. So it is about a woman starved who is thirsting for revenge against her bastard of a husband. So it's that quintessential sort of gothic tale of women being locked up by their husbands, unable to speak their mind or have agency lest their husbands tire of them and have them committed to mental asylums, you know. But in this story, luckily the woman of the house gets an assist from a lady vampire. And then she goes on a rampage. It was very reminiscent of A Dowry of Blood. So it did have more of that very slow, languid, flowery writing style. It was a little bit too long and stuffy. It was very introspective. You're in the character's head. And I just felt there were a lot of thoughts and a lot of scenes that could have been trimmed down and be much more effective in the book, improve the pacing. So I think some people might find this a bit too slow. Obviously, I read it all the way through because it is an ARC and the cover was stunning, and it is a 3.5 at the end of the day. So it kind of paid off because at the end, things started to pick up. Some action started to happen. There was a bit more plot and not just vibes or a woman miserable in her marriage. Something I didn't like was the vampire character. She was kind of mean. Like, she was constantly negging the main character. And I'm like, oh, that's a tactic. So I wasn't here for the sapphic coupling in this either. I felt it was very toxic. And that's been a thread in all of them. I guess, look, Camilla is kind of parasitic. She does feed on her lovers, so maybe there can't be a healthy Camilla retelling. But yeah, she just was very unpleasant and constantly belittling the main character. And I'm like, oh, does the main character work off negative reinforcement? Is that how she learns and grows? I don't know. But yes, it does, like I said, this is more of a all the way till the end where things happen and then it pops off and there's a lot of murder and mayhem. I did enjoy it in the end, but yeah, it was one I did have to sort of push myself through in the beginning. So I was like, I enjoyed it, but there wasn't a lot happening and it was so internalized. And I was like, could something happen, please? Even when they stumbled across, you know, the Camilla vampire lady, it still took a while before that started to happen. So yeah, 3.5 stars. A random sentence from this one is, your pain was so loud, it was a beacon that called me. I found you so easily. But I'll quickly recap all of the books that I have read for this vlog. So we had From Sand to Stars by Shelby Lee, which was an art from NetGalley. I also picked up Whisper Songs by Tony Birch, which was also a book of poetry. EARTHEATER by Dolores Reyes, which I gave 3 stars. Queer Art From Canvas to Club and the Spaces Between by Gemma Rolls-Bentley, which I would probably rate 3.5 stars. Hungerstone by Kat Dunn, which I rated 3.5 stars, Chanel. And my favourite book of this reading vlog was Prisoner of Sleep by Tim Pratt, which I gave a 4 stars. And I don't think I said a quote from the book, so I will read one. Death is just, it's the end of everything, Zavita. Maybe these people could change, see the error of their ways, reform, devote themselves to justice. I've seen it happen. Death just closes the door on all those possibilities. So yeah, that was my favorite read. So pretty good first week reading in October. I found quite a few books that I enjoyed. No 5 stars, but that's okay, man. I expect probably 1 5-star a month, to be honest, so it's all good in the hood. I am probably going to do another mood reading vlog just so I can tackle my TBR as well. Otherwise, I find I'm jamming it. I'm like pulling an all-nighter the night before to make sure I read all the TBRs from my TBR jar picks. I've obviously got the recommendations video lined up this month. I've got a spooky themed vlog lined up this month, and I've got another kind of video which I haven't done before and I'm trying out to see if it might improve my ability to pick books that I like. But I'm excited. I love reading. It's fun. Let me know what you've read recently that you've enjoyed. And until next time, stay wild, Star Child.